high fives and lots of hugs for Tanev, who had the game winner for the Penguins in the waning moments of the third period action in Game 3 between the Islanders and the Penguins. Hello, everyone. Welcome again inside Nassau Coliseum. I'm Shannon Hogan. Thanks so much for sticking with us all night. We hope you'll stick around for the next hour. We have some great coverage for you. You're going to get to hear some awesome analysis from AJ Malesko, Brendan Burke, and, of course, Butch Goring. And we're going to go inside the Islanders dressing room catching up with the players, and you'll hear from Barry Trotz as well. How about this game? What a wild third period. Before we get to that, let's start with how this all started off. The crowd was fantastic. Almost 7,000 here at the Coliseum. First period action just a couple minutes in, and somehow the Penguins were able to score first. Chris Letang, that puck had eyes. 5-hole between Semyon Varlamov, giving the Penguins a 1-0 lead in the first period. That's how they went into the start of the second. And Islanders trying to get something going here. Also from pretty far outside, it's Scott Mayfield who scored his first goal of the playoffs, getting some help from Barzal and Eberle. Islanders feeling good about tying this up, but Jeff Carter was determined 2 minutes and 30 seconds later that he was going to respond. And that was really the theme of this game. Jeff Carter, his second goal of the postseason already. And as the time was ticking down in the second period, Jason Zucker going in. He scores his first of the postseason, and the Penguins have a lead heading into the third. Islanders gritty here. Look at all the pucks to the net. They're moving around. They're trying to get their chances. Cal Clutterbuck right there, right time, and his reaction was absolutely priceless there. Still some action in the third period. This is where things start to get a little bit dicey. The gloves come off, all kinds of drama. We will get to this in detail later, but eventually the Islanders are able to have a power play opportunity, and that sets up a great chance for Anthony Beauvillier to score. The Coliseum is going nuts at this point. The Islanders are just there in it. Unfortunately, Cal Clutterbuck, who scored to make this interesting, takes a penalty there. He goes to the box, and that sets up another Penguins power play opportunity. And guess who scores? It's Evgeny Malkin right over there to Jeff Carter, his second of the game. What an acquisition he has been for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Cal Clutterbuck wanted to get back after that penalty, and he is able to make this a 4-4 game. The place was absolutely nuts at this point, and we were thinking maybe this is going to go to extra time. But you know how this goes. The Penguins have had a knack for being able to respond, and it was Tanev with wild eyes after giving his team the lead. And we thought Brock Nelson might get a chance, but how about this save right here? Sidney Crosby. I know you guys want to hate him, but that was a really sick move. He's able to sacrifice his body and help his team pick up the big win here and also come away with a 2-1 series lead. It was a really fun night of playoff hockey here. We wish the score was different, but 5-4 is the final score. Penguins taking this one. And I am slightly out of breath after just going through that game. My heart is pounding just thinking about the third period. You can go through all the numbers there, but we'd rather have it broken down with AJ Malesko, who's been joining us all night long. You were feverishly taking notes in the third period. I'm not going to lie. I'm just full disclosure here. It was a tie game. We felt like we were missing out. We went ice side. And then the game turned, and we came back. And then they tied it again. So we really did our part. We did what we could do.
We did do our part, but we also did get a chance to go up into the stands and to feel the energy and the electricity and to see how excited everybody was to be here and to see the Islanders battle so hard. And that's what I thought was good throughout the whole game is the first 10 minutes of the game, they did start a little slow and they weren't competing. And I thought even though they ended on the wrong side of the score, they battled. I mean, that third period was incredible. Obviously, there was the fisticuffs and the extracurricular activity and all the people in the penalty box, which was quite the sight when you have 11 minor penalties called at one time and you've got 10 guys or 11 with somebody serving Gensels in the box. Not a lot of room in there, so hopefully they all got a chance to sit down. But it was an exciting game, some power plays. Great for the Islanders to finally break through and get a power play goal. They'd been a little slow in that department. It was Beauvillier who put them on that power play goal in the third period. So overall, good effort, not quite enough at the end. They got some work to do to come back for Game 4 on Saturday.
But they did get some offense in this, AJ, and that's something that I think a lot of people around the league and even some Islanders fans were a little concerned about this team, is needing to get the offense going. And while we were looking at guys like Barzal and Eberle to pick up their game, ultimately, this is a team that wins by committee, and it's players like Cal Clutterbuck coming up big in this one that helped get them in the fight. And that first Cal Clutterbuck goal is one that you're going to take us through.
Yeah, you know what is, in the playoffs, they can be won and lost on just very simple plays. And for these teams, they have to figure out how to get themselves on the correct side of those plays. When another team makes a mistake or there's an error, you've got to be able to capitalize on it. And that's what happened. The Penguins had a couple errors, and it was great for the fourth line of the Islanders, great for the Islanders that they were out there and were able to capitalize and able to turn it into a goal for Cal Clutterbuck. It starts, if you watch the way this play starts down, Jari tries to stop the puck. He can't. There's a scrum here, and John Marino loses his helmet. By the rules, he's got to go right to the bench or he takes a penalty. So at this point, he's going to, they're digging for the puck. There's a lot of time off the clock here, and then pretty soon Marino's going to lose his helmet. The interesting part to me is when he decides to go to the bench right now. He looks frustrated. That's terrible. He goes slow. So now it opens up a little bit. So now they're man down. And so the Islanders go to work as if they are on the penalty, on the power play. And then you see Cody Ceci, number 4, come off the bench. He goes to the wrong side of Cal Clutterbuck, who's a right shot. He goes to the other side of him, doesn't pick up his stick. So Cal Clutterbuck is able to get that goal. So to me, what's great news about that is not necessarily that the Penguins had that breakdown, because hockey's a game of mistakes. All teams in the playoffs are going to have that. It's that the fourth line of the Islanders with Scott Mayfield back there, who had a very active, very good game. He scored a goal, but he also was very good the rest of the time as well. They were able to capitalize and convert that into a goal, and a huge goal at that moment, too, to be able to pull them into that game. So that, to me, those are good signs for them. Cal Clutterbuck, of course, would get a goal later on. And that fourth line, they had between 10 and 11 minutes time on ice total for the whole game. That's not a lot of time, and Cal Clutterbuck puts in 2 goals. You got to feel really good about the way that fourth line played, especially in the third.
Well, the first star of the game was Jeff Carter, and if you're a little confused as to who we're talking about the Jeff Carter who used to be out in LA and now is feeling very comfortable with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was the first star of the game. We had an opportunity to catch up with them after the game. Jeff, I know you've seen a lot of playoff hockey in your career. Where does that third period and the emotion rank in your playoff experience?
It was pretty wild. Two teams doing whatever they can to try and get a win. I think what we saw in the third was, partially part of their game plan is to try and get us a little rattled. But I felt like, we weathered that. We stuck with our game plan and ultimately came out with a win. So it was good.
What was better in the closing moments of this game for your team, the Tanev goal or Sid's diving block with his stick?
All of the above. Just like I said earlier, the third period was full of a lot of emotion. Guys are grinding, doing whatever they can to get a win here, and I think you saw a lot of sacrifice from the guys here in the third period to get it.
You told your GM, Rama Hextall, I'm all in when he traded for you. Did you think you'd have this much of an impact, and what does it mean to you to be this impactful so early in the series?
Well, I'm always a confident guy. I think, I came in and felt like I could fill a role for the team. Maybe it's been a little more offensive than I would have thought to start here, but pleased with the way things are going, and hopefully it continues.
Jeff, thanks so much for your time.
All right, thanks.
AJ, when we saw the trade come through that Jeff Carter was headed to Pittsburgh, did you think that he would be this big of a role player on the team as they were heading to the postseason?
No, in every team, the top 4 teams in the East all made moves at the deadline, and that was the one that I actually thought would be maybe the least impactful, just based on the fact that he's at the tail end of his career and he's been through it. He won a cup in LA back in 2012, and ironically came in at the deadline that year and ended up being sort of the final missing piece of the puzzle for that championship team out in LA. Pittsburgh is looking to do the same thing with him. So it was interesting when he came in. You just never know when you've got Pittsburgh, who's already got a core of aging stars. Clearly, they're not aging fast enough for us Islanders fans when you see Sidney Crosby make that diving save at the end. But they've been around. They've won 3 cups in the last 12 years. And to bring in somebody like him, I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. Frankly, it is really amazing to see what he's been able to do. 3 goals in this series so far, and that's with Malkin out the first 2 games. So he really stepped up big for them, and they're going to have to keep an eye on the whole center depth. We talked about it in the pregame show. For the Islanders, it makes a matchup headache because obviously Crosby's somebody you got to watch. Clearly Malkin is too, and now Jeff Carter, somebody they got to make sure they know where he is at all times.